Steve Post from Motor Racing Network here in the Racing Electronics display at PRI. One of the really neat programs that was unveiled here is the Hoosier Heroes. And a dozen racers from a cross-section of the sport are being honored, and there will be Hoosier Heroes. This is the class of 2026. One of them is a modified super late model racer from the state of Maryland. Mitch Thomas joins us. Hey man, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Doing good, all right. What's it like to be a Hoosier Hero? What's this experience been like? You had a big soiree last night, a big party, a big gathering. You're unveiling here, you're doing interviews all across the state or all across the building. What's this been like?
You know, it's just really, I feel honored, you know, to be a Hoosier Hero, and the way that Hoosier returns the thank you to their tire buyers and their fellow racers and that. So it really means a lot that, you know, people do care about what you're doing with their product, and I'm grateful for such a good product that they provide for us.
Okay, so tell me about your racing a little bit. You've been running modifieds, have a couple of Volusia wins, I know that. So just tell me about how the racing and where you're at as we get to the end of 2025.
Yeah, you know, the racing was really good this year. You know, we did a lot of modified racing, obviously. Had a lot of wins. I think we ran a modified, it was like 37 nights, and we won 27 of them. So really another outstanding year. You know, it's just not because of me. You know, it's because my great team. You know, the people I got back me, Nick Hoffman. You know, my crew guys, and the modified stuff is just. You know, I feel like we're really good in that. So I'm really excited to get into the Florida Speed Weeks this year with the modified and just see where we line back up with those guys. So there's a lot going on, and there's always speed to be getting. And the late model stuff, you know, it's just so hard. You know, like you pull into a field and there's 40 cars, but 37 of them could win. You know what I'm saying? So everything's just a lot different about that.
That is a big jump, and that's for sure. Is that ultimately where you would like to go? Is the dirt late model world?
Yes, for sure. You know, I want my career to be in the dirt late model side of things, like Lucas Oil, World of Outlaws. Like, you know, that's a complete dream for somebody to be able to do that for their job and have the you know, good enough people to back you where you can afford to do it and make it profitable.
Well, you're rolling along through life. You're a young guy. You're 19 years old. You're a young guy. You're rolling along through life, and all of a sudden, this past year, you have a medical emergency. What happened? And just, I can't imagine what that must have been like.
Yeah, you know, it really was, all honesty, a life-shocking event for me. You know, when you're young, I was 18 years old at the time, and I'm 19 now, and you know, someone looks at you and says, you know, you might never get back in a race car, and you're just like, it's heartbreaking, you know, because everything you provide and everything you want to do, you know, you want to get in a race car and race. So we was actually, I drove an asphalt car for Toyota, and I felt pretty comfortable in that, and I went out of that and I left for the Hell Tour, and I went and gotten around like 2 weeks of it, not the whole deal, and I didn't feel right, and my dad's like, we're going to go home. I'm like, no, we're going to race again tonight. You know, like, I'm a diehard racer, right? So we raced, and then I'm driving home, and we drove like 12 hours to get home, and here to find out my whole right side of my body was full of blood clots. My brain, there was my heart, my lungs, the main arteries in your neck. Like, if I could have fell down, like, that would have been, you know, the end, you know? So I was out a race car for 7 months. So I was like, I had the itch. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I was in and out of the hospital, and I ended up opening a speed shop. And I started building bodies and working on people's cars and just helping younger kids in our area that wanted to race that just really didn't know much about it. So, you know, it really makes you think about racing now that, you know, if it's not for you, you know, you're not going to get to do it. And I'm very thankful that I was able to get back in a race car.
How's your health now? You got that all sorted out? We figured out what was causing all those problems?
Yeah, actually, we in and out of the doctor still. You know how that goes. Always going for checkups. But here to find out I had factor V blood disorder and never knew it. No one in my family has it or anything. It's just random that I had it. So I'm on, you know, medication now for my blood and that. So everything's good so far, and we're back up to speed.
That is cool. That is really cool. We're going to have you reach in there and grab a mystery question. All right, let's see what it is. What was your first street car?
Actually, I love diesel pickups. You know, we're farm boys, and we live on a farm, and it was actually a Duramax Denali diesel pickup, and I still got it to the day. Like, I just kept it, and I still run it all the time. Wow,
that is really cool. You mentioned your farm, like you have, what did I read, 300 acres, your corn farmers?
Yeah, actually it's all mine. When I was young in high school, I always had a passion for farming and was small, and my dad, you know, he's just really busy with, you know, what he's got going on, so I started a farm, you know, and I'm up to just now myself, I farm 300 acres of corn myself, and I got cattle, and we market cattle up and down and sell cattle and corn and chicken, like for chicken farms, and we do all kinds of stuff.
Man, oh man, at 19 years old, that's for sure. The corn you raise, is it for fuel? Is it for feed? What is the corn you raise?
It's all for feed. Actually, we grind some for our own cattle, and the rest of it gets ground and goes to Pilgrim's Chicken to feed the chicken farms.
Man, oh man, how about that? That is awesome, that is for sure. Mitch, we wish you well with your Hoosier Hero Dome, and we wish you well going forward next year. Appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate it, and thank everyone at Hoosier, and you guys for doing this for me. Thank you.
And I'll tell you what a neat story. Mitch Thomas, how about that? Farmer, 19-year-old, survivor of some life challenges, and here he is, a Hoosier Hero, joining us at the PRI show at the Racing Electronics Display.